Exec, el Exec, el Vele, el fenómeno que todos quieren ser, el chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to episode 174 of the Exec Talk Podcast. I am your host of Les Wassan. Yeah, it's Sunday, and I haven't done an episode all week. Boy, my job, taking care of my girl. Every time I come home, she comes from lunch, and I spend lunch with her. And then after when she leaves, I'm so tired that I decide that I'm gonna do it the next day. But I'm done pushing stuff off. I gotta get through these episodes because a lot of stuff is about to go down. So this will be the last time that I'm like really delaying episodes. Like even if I'm really tired, I'm gonna do it because I know you guys are waiting, and that's not fair to you guys. You know what I'm saying? You're expecting 2 episodes a week, especially now with the combine coming, MLB about to start up. Even though we're still about a month away because of spring training. We got the draft. We have NASCAR starting up, which we're going to talk about the Daytona 500. We had Luka starting to play for the Lakers. Draft possibilities, possible free agency possibilities. So we have a lot to get to, and then F1, of course. So let's start from old to new. William Byron wins the Daytona 500 in epic fashion. And when I mean in epic fashion, it was literally because of a crash. He was 9th, okay? On the lap that the race ended, he was in 9th position. Denny Hamlin, Logano, all the Fords were dominating. I'm talking about dominating this race. And that's what I expected in Atlanta too. The top 6 are Fords out of qualifying. But like the way the Fords dominated, it was literally Logano, Keselowski, Jesus Christ, Austin Cindric, that's what was dominating the whole time. Just a bunch of RFKs, and it's crazy because one expects Toyota to be strong, especially at the beginning of the season. Joe Gibbs Racing, of course, you have Hendrick with the 4 monsters that they got, and William won back-to-back Daytona 500 because he won it last year. But this one was very different from the one last year. There was a big one, a couple of big ones. It wasn't like that big one that takes out like 20 cars, but there was like 15, 10, and like some hard hits and stuff like that. Daytona is always incredible because you don't know who's going to win. You don't know if it's going to be the guy in the 9th position in the last lap, or if it's going to be the guy leading or the second guy, or maybe the guy in 15th, because of crashes and stuff. So really amazing for William Byron and Hendrick to, already be in the playoffs starting off. We have Atlanta this week, another drafting track. It's a 1.5 miles, though. It's not like it runs like a super speedway, but it's shorter, so everything happens faster. Xfinity yesterday was good. Austin Hill just massacred it, absolutely dominated that race. But it was a fun race nonetheless till the end. I feel today the Fords are at the front, but I feel like in race day, like that's when like Chevy really like comes up. You have Kyle Busch there, qualified at the 7th position. He just won in trucks yesterday. So he's getting off on his winning ways again after a bad season last year with RCR. So I think I think Kyle Busch is going to have a very good season. I don't know if he's going to have a championship season, but he's definitely capable. I think the championship favorites should be somewhere in the area of like Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell. I would like to say Ty Gibbs, but he hasn't won yet. I think Chastain has a legit shot this year. Of course, Tyler Reddick should be up there. you know, and of course, like all the Hendrick cars. I think even Bowman has a chance this year from how he was racing late last year. But Daytona was fun. Cautions, of course, are going to happen. Penalties are going to happen. Unfortunate circumstances when people move and stuff like that. That's how crashes happen. Get into the left rear quarter panel, take off the air off the front, you know, and like create an air pocket. And that's how people, you know, lose it and how big wrecks happen. But it was a great race. Really entertaining after a 2-hour something delay for rain. After they started, they went 21 laps in, and then rain came, and then it was like 2 hours, almost 3-hour delay. They started back at like 5, and then they finished the race at night. But it was a very nice race, and shout out to William Byron on the win. Very unexpected because the Chevy was not up front at all. It was a lot of Ford, a lot of Toyota, especially late. Toyota was making a push there, but it was a very, very, very good race. Okay, so Atlanta this week, we talked about that. All right, let's talk about something that happened right after that. So Matt McClung wins the dunk contest 3 years in a row from the G League. Stephon Castle made it to the final. I picked Matt McClung to win. I just think that his creativity is on another level. His first dunk was jumping over a Kia Optima, but not in the Blake Griffin sense. No, he jumped over the roof, like the highest point, and dunked it backwards, grabbing it off of his friend's hands. He was through the sunroof, so that was a 50. Then the next one, he paused. He did like a pause 180. So like he jumps over his friend, he stares at the camera away from the basket, and then when he's all the way high up there, then he turns really quick, dunks it first try, 50. The next one was I think he did 4 dunks, if I'm not mistaken. So the next one, he had his friend, one on a ladder with a ball at the rim, and then one spinning like Aaron Gordon did against Zach LaVine, one spinning. He grabs that one, does a half a windmill with his right hand, and then grabs the other one with his left while he's going up and dunks both of them first try, 50. And then the last one, you needed like a replay to see it. So he jumps over, I believe, Bull. It was either Bull or I'm trying to remember who he jumped over. Evan Mobley. So he jumped over Evan Mobley on a platform, jumps over him. While he grabs the ball and going up, he hits the rim with the ball, like taps the rim, and then he dunks it. They had to see it on replay. He said, yo, replay. When they replayed it, boom, 50, he won. Castle had some nice dunks, but had a nice behind the back one. But just couldn't, the creativity of Matt McClung, and that's the thing, like now John Morant says, oh, maybe I'll come back next year. But they always say that, so we won't see until next year. As for the All-Star game, the three-point shooting contest was kind of boring. Tyler Hero won it, but it wasn't really exciting because Damian Lillard didn't make it past the first round. The contestants this year weren't that really good of shooters. You're not going to get guys like Clay and Steph and Korver. I think a guy maybe like Pritchard, AJ Green, those guys should definitely do it. Those guys that could really, really shoot the ball. It should be like the top 10 3-point percentages in the league, in my opinion. If you're not going to have a Steph, if you're not going to have a Clay, if you're not going to have like a Kyle Korver or Ray Allen, shooting it, I think that's how they should determine the order. And maybe, you get like 29 against 31 or something like that. But this one was a little boring. The All-Star game format, the new four team. I like the Rising Stars being able to be that fourth team. They played well, almost knocked out the Global Stars, but then Shea took over and finished it. And then the OGs versus the global stars in the final. It was not really even a game. Steph Curry scores 12 in that game, hits like 2 big threes down the stretch, and then dunk by Jason Tatum got him to 40. I think they should extend it to like 50 or 60. I think at least the final game to make it a little bit more exciting. Too many pauses, though. Too many, like, I know that they had to say thank you to the TNT crew, and that's all well and good, but, like, too many pauses between games and stuff like that. Like, we were, like, halfway through the final game, and they had a big-ass pause. So, you know, I didn't like that. But hopefully, you know, we're getting to the right direction. They played a little bit harder. The players did. It's still kind of a shit show, but they play a little bit harder. So we'll see if we can find a happy medium for that. LeBron didn't play in his 21st All-Star game. He did not play, ankle soreness. Giannis didn't play. You know, that happens, but LeBron said it too late, and they couldn't find a replacement. So that's All-Star Weekend. All right, now let's get to Combine is this week. I'm going to break that down a little bit more in depth this upcoming week before the Combine starts. The things that we have known already is that Travis Hunter is listed as a DB and will work out as a DB. So that means the wide receiver portion of his skill set will probably be through film immediately. I'm very intrigued in how Abdul Carter's going to run. I believe he's going to run near the 4.4, 4.3 range like a Micah Parsons. And him, Travis Hunter, and Cam Ward right now would be the top 3 candidates for that number 1 pick in Tennessee, depending what Tennessee really wants to do and how they attack free agency. If they go get a Sam Darnold, then Aaron Rodgers, Stafford, stuff like that. Speaking of Stafford, the Rams have given Stafford the opportunity, the permission to go seek out his value from other teams. What that means is that they don't know how much to pay him, so they're just going to let the market decide how much that he's kind of worth and then talk to him about it with the contract. I do not think that Matthew Stafford leaves the Rams. He loves McVay too much. He's not going to get a guy like Puka Nacua anywhere. Kyron Williams is a great running back. That defense is young and really good with Braden Fisk and Byron Young and the defensive rookie of the year, Jared Verse. They need another corner. They need a safety, but I think overall they have a pretty good defense. And this roster's young, man. This roster's young. The offensive line is getting better. It's young as well, but it got better through the end of the season in the playoffs. So I don't think he's gonna leave, but he got permission to search elsewhere. Aaron Rodgers got basically released by the Jets. He will not be coming back. Where he could go, he has to first decide if he wants to play. After he decides that he wants to play, then there has to be destinations for him out there. I see the Raiders, but Tom Brady possibly is looking at Shedeur Sanders in the draft, maybe to move up. He's at 6. Could he wait? There is a scenario where he can wait and he will fall there, but there's also other teams that could either possibly go up or just flat out take him, like the Giants at 2. Overall, I think that this draft is going to be very interesting. I think nobody can really predict what's going to happen even in the first top 5 picks because you have so much talent at the offensive line, because you have so much talent at the D tackle position with Mason Graham out of Michigan. You have some talent at the cornerback position with Will Johnson. And then you have Torrey McMillan, who in some mock drafts, I see him going to like 15, 13. You have Ashton Genty is a wild card because, yes, the Cowboys seem like the best fit at 12, but somebody could go up and want to get him. He is a top 10 talent at the running back position. You also have a lot of running backs that can go late first round. Some people like Travion Henderson, Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, even Quinshon Judkins. As well as where's Tyler Warren going to go? Where's Corsten Loveland going to go? The tight ends. So there's a lot at stake here. We still don't know where Jalen Milroe will go. Jackson Dart possibly sneaks in the back of the first round for that 5th-year contract flexibility. That what they did with Lamar, basically taking him 30 seconds so they can get a 5th-year option on him. So it's going to be a very interesting, but the Combine's going to tell us a lot about not just about how healthy these guys are, but like numbers-wise, how can we categorize people's weights? I'm very intrigued to see what Travis Hunter weighs in. If he is anywhere 175 above, I think that's going to be a clearing benchmark for him weight-wise because he looks very skinny. So if he's at 170, 180, I think that lowers a lot of like that risk-averse mentality that some GMs have with him that can take him. Same thing with Abdul Carter. I think if he shows up and he's the best D end and possibly the best athlete on the field with Travis Hunter, I think he solidifies himself as Tennessee could definitely take him number 1 to just add that difference maker on the other side. It's quarterback and D end. Like if you're talking about schedule of value that you can't find in their prime, like you can't, like Myles Garrett is going to get traded. I think he's just going to force his way out. Where he could go, if I'm really being honest, I don't know if the Chiefs can make it happen, but if the Chiefs could get Myles Garrett, that'll definitely put him back at the top of the food chain. I see somebody like the Ravens trying to make that big push. The Bills possibly, and also teams like Atlanta that need it. Teams like the Saints. Maybe a trade. Maybe you can't sign back Trey Hendrickson, but then you sign Myles Garrett, which would make weird sense for the Bengals there. Even though they're trying to keep Jamar and T, and I don't know how that happens. It's going to be a lot of restructuring that has to happen, including the Joe Burrow contract. I'm looking like at the Vikings, put them with Dallas Turner, let them learn. So there's teams out there, the Raiders possibly with Max Crosby. So there's teams out there that could definitely use him. The Dolphins could use him. But it's going to take a big bag. It's going to take a giant bag to get Myles Garrett out of Cleveland. All right. So that's the Combine stuff for now. Okay, so let's talk about what is happening currently this week. Wemby's out for the rest of the season with a blood clot. As soon as he did play in the All-Star weekend, but then doctors for the Spurs found a thrombosis in his I believe his right shoulder. It's a blood clot from use. Basically, athletes get it. Asar Thompson had it last year. He's fine now. He's playing great. Brandon Ingram had it a while back. He had an all-star season right after. So they think this is an isolated incident. They don't think that this is going to be a Chris Bosh situation where it's chronic and possibly put his career at stake. He's only 20 years old. He was going to win Defensive Player of the Year running away. He was like a minus 1,600 favorite before this, but he can't get to the threshold of those 65 games with missing the last 30. So, unfortunately, he can't be Defensive Player of the Year. He was going to be an All-NBA selection as well, second or third, because of Jokic and Giannis, of course. But, that's off the table. But I think this season will be remembered in Wemby's career as like, okay, this is when he started like getting to that level, and he's only going to get better. Like I said, he's only 20 years old. Popovich is also out with the stroke that he had earlier in the season. He will not return. His future with the Spurs is also kind of in jeopardy. He is a very old, not old, but he's like very, very like into his 70s at this point. So we'll see how that goes in the offseason. This takes the Spurs out of any contention that they thought they were going to go in because of, just having De'Aaron Fox and Wemby. That was going to be like their push for the playoffs. They're going to go for a play-in spot. But unfortunately, they couldn't, they can't do it because of the blood clot. He has to be down for 6 months. He's on blood thinners, and you can't play while on blood thinners because it's very dangerous to get cut or something like that, and you're going to bleed out. Luka struggled his first 2 games as a Laker, shooting bad from 3. His first game, he scored 14. He only played 30 minutes. His second game, he was really struggling. It seemed like he was sad with the decision, that he couldn't deal with the fact that Dallas just let him go in his prime at 25 years old, somewhere where his idol Dirk Nowitzki played, and he thought he was going to be a Maverick for life. But then this past game yesterday, he scored 32, had 10 assists, was Luka once again. And I think that from now, he's just going to do that. I think the Lakers are dangerous. I don't think that they have the requisite amount of size to deal with like a Denver, even though they have a lot of scoring. But when you get into the playoffs, that size of Jokic in the middle and the way Jamal Murray and him are playing this year and the way Jokic is playing this year, honestly, I think they're a very sleepy, dangerous team, even though they're a former champion. Boston's kind of just marauding through the season right now. They're second in the East. I don't think they're going to go for first, to be honest. I think Cleveland just wants that home court advantage for the whole playoffs, even when they face Boston. So, and they're playing really well. Mobley, Allen, Garland, and Donovan Mitchell are playing absolutely incredible. DeAndre Hunter was a great addition at the trade deadline. So I think that that Boston's just going to sit pat, stand pat, wait for the playoffs, and then probably try to explode for another championship. Although I think that once they meet their finals opponent, I think it's going to be a little harder than it was last year because they were facing a hurt Luka, and Kyrie was kind of like, distraught mentally in Boston. So I think that, a Denver, an OKC possibly will be a very, very big challenge for Boston if they make it to the finals again. I think that Milwaukee's a sleepy playoff team. They are in the top 6, but I'm saying sleepy as in like people are not really like seeing it yet. I think once they get into the playoffs, Damian and Giannis, even though Giannis is out right now, actually started playing again 2 days ago, is going to be, they just have to figure it out how to be consistently good on the offensive side of the ball. And then their defense is pretty good, but Bobby Portis is out for the remainder of the season, possibly 25 games because he violated the PED drug policy for the league. So he's suspended 25 games. So they're going to have to find a second guy to Brook Lopez to be able to hold that bench scoring up when Giannis or Dame goes to the bench. And you have people like AJ Green and like Ajax out there. You have to find some scoring punch for sure. Let's see. F1 released their liveries. They had their whole reveal. Really excited for F1. Bahrain testing, I believe, is this week. And then March 2nd is March 2nd through the 4th, I believe, is Australia. So they're going to Australia first. What I want to see in testing is that who has advantages. Of course, testing is not the end-all, be-all for the first race, especially being Australia, a very unique track. But at the same time, you see a little bit of like what every team has. I'm very interested in Aston Martin. What is Adrian Newey going to bring to the table design-wise, aerodynamically-wise for Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll? Of course, Ferrari with Lewis Hamilton. Who's the faster, more comfortable driver in that car this year? Off the bat, I believe Lewis is going to be. He hasn't had a lot of testing, but I think he's just his natural ability of driving the car at its peak is going to show. Where's Max at? Where's Liam Lawson at as his number 2 running wise? Is it gonna be like a Checo or Daniel Ricciardo situation where like he's behind and definitely sees behind, or is there potential in the kid to like get up to where Verstappen is, learning from Verstappen and being like an Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris type of deal, in qualifying and lap time wise? George Russell, can he take the mantle? With Kimi Antonelli, can he take the mantle of the number 1 driver at Mercedes, the face of Mercedes, and really push, Red Bull and push McLaren? We don't know where Ferrari is in that yet. Last year, they were fighting for it at the end, so I don't expect them to be behind. And then, of course, what's Haas going to do? What's Williams going to do with Carlos Sainz? Very, very, and Ollie Berman at Haas. Joe, what is Steak gonna do? What is V Car gonna do? Red Bull, Racing Bulls. I'm very, very interested, and as well as Alpine. Very, very interested in this season, especially at the start of it. See who has advantages, who needs to work on the car. Is it going to be a Red Bull 5-Pete, or is another kid on the block? Is McLaren? Is a Ferrari? Is a Mercedes? Is even a Aston Martin going to challenge for the top spot and podiums and wins and possibly a constructors or a drivers championship this year? Very, very excited for that. Spring training just started. 2 days ago. And Soto in his first at bat with the Mets got basically down the middle fastball and crushed it. First home run as a Met. It's not official, but like first at bat as a Met in spring training, goes deep, and then Elly De La Cruz goes deep twice in his first spring training game. So they look like they're locked in. I'm very excited. It's gonna be Yoshinobu Yamamoto versus Shota Imanaga in the Japan series to start the season. So that's going to be very, very, very entertaining. I believe that's what the first game is. If not, it's with the Padres and be Yu Darvish. Let me get that for you guys just to be sure. Let's see. Where is it? Here we go. February 22nd. First game is in April, I believe. April 1st? No. April 13th. 10th. When does the season start? Oh, here we go. Season starts March 27th. Is it March 27th? Yeah, it looks like it. March 27th. Thursday, March 27th. Showtime and no. Tigers, Dodgers. I thought they were in Japan. I could have sworn the first game was going to be in Japan from what I saw. Let's see here. Yeah, Luka went 32, 10, and 9 yesterday, almost a triple-double. Where is the first game? Let's see here. Year one in LA. Sasaki. It's the first time that two Japanese-born pitchers are gonna start in the same game. I believe it's Shota. If not, it's Yu Darvish. There's not a lot of Japanese pitchers out there, but it is Yamamoto. Yamamoto is starting the season for the Dodgers, and I think it's going to be very, very exciting to see those two. Of course, Ohtani's probably going to DH until May. I expect teams like the Dodgers, the Padres, who Manny hit a home run as well in the first spring training game, Manny Machado. So I expect the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers, Astros, Yankees, Red Sox, Tigers, and Phillies, and the Padres. I expect them to start off hot in the season. They have good rosters, and the Braves with Strider coming back and Acuna. I expect them to jump off to a hot start. I don't know about the Royals. Have to still see, not Bobby Witt, but like how the rest of the lineup shakes out, power wise and stuff like that. Another big thing that happened this week was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. did not get extended by the Blue Jays. So he is in a contract year. He just came off a average of a 323, almost 40 bombs. A great season last year, back to his MVP form. And they didn't extend him. They went after Shohei. They went after Ruki Sasaki. They went after all those big Juan Soto. They went after all those big name free agents. They didn't land any of them. They did get Anthony Santander, but now it's really on the team. Like, do you want to keep him? Because if not, he's another 25-year-old superstar that a Yankees could go pay. A Red Sox, he's been linked to the Red Sox for a while because of like the history of him getting trained by David Ortiz and all that. Of course, the Padres are going to be in it. I believe the Dodgers could possibly, inquire. People like the Braves, like real contenders, even Arizona. I would like the Royals to inquire, but the money's not there probably. So, but we got to watch that throughout this season or even the trade deadline. But other than that, guys, that is pretty much it. As now we just go to the NBA. Tell you the standings. As they sit right now, going into the second half, we have Cleveland 6 ahead of Boston, New York 9 behind Cleveland, so only 3 behind Boston. So that number 2 spot could be up for grabs for sure. Even though Josh Hart is kind of hurt. You have the Pacers 14 back, so 5 games back of New York. Milwaukee is only a half game back of that 4 spot with Indiana. Detroit is only 16 back, so only 2.5 games, or a game and a half, actually, behind Milwaukee for that 5th spot. Detroit's playing really well. Orlando's 19 games back, 3 out of the 6 spot. Miami's tied with them. Atlanta is 1 game back of them with 20 behind, and Chicago's 24.5 behind. I don't think they're leaving the 10th spot. Brooklyn's only a half a game behind Chicago, and Philly is 2.5 games, or a game and a half behind Chicago for that 10th spot. In the West, OKC is an 8.5 lead over Memphis. I don't think that's going to get touched. Denver's just a half a game behind Memphis for that number 2 spot. I believe Denver does get that. The Lakers are 11 games behind, 2 games behind Denver, 2.5 games behind Memphis for that number 2 spot. The Rockets are tied with the Lakers at 11 behind for that 4 spot. The Clippers are 14 behind, just 3 games behind Houston and the Lakers. Minnesota is 1 game behind the 6th spot. Dallas is tied with Minnesota, 15 back. And 1 behind the Clippers in the 6th. Golden State's just a game and a half behind Dallas for the 8th spot, and then 2.5 games behind the Clippers for that 6th spot, and then you have Sacramento a game behind Golden State at 17.5 games back, and then you have 1 game back is Phoenix outside looking in. Right now, if we look at the stats, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's still 32 points a game. Giannis is 31 points a game. Jokic is at 29.4. Anthony Edwards at 28, and Maxi's at 27. Young is still at 11.4. Trae Young, that is. Nikola Jokic has 10.2 in assists. Kate Cunningham's at 9.5, basically 10 assists a game. LeBron's at 9 assists a game. Harden's at 9 assists a game. Steph is making 4.4 threes a game. Anthony Edwards 4.2. LaMelo Ball 4. Malik Beasley 4. And Brandon Miller 4, even though he's hurt. Domantas Sabonis is grabbing 15 rebounds a game. Towns is grabbing 13. Jokic is grabbing 13. Wemby, he's out now, but he was averaging 4 blocks a game. Walker Kessler's at 2.4. Anthony Davis, he's hurt. He's at 2.2. And Dyson Daniels still averaging 3 steals a game. So we'll see who steps up to be the defensive player of the year this year. Games today, Knicks and Celtics. Really good game today at 1 on ABC and ESPN Plus. We have Mavericks Warriors at 3:30. You have another good game, and I would say Heat Bucks. It's at 6 o'clock. That's okay. That's an okay game. Grizzlies Cavaliers. That's on ESPN at 7, and then Thunder Timberwolves 9:30 on ESPN. Those are really good. And then the Champions League. That's the last thing we're going to talk about. We have Club Brugge versus Aston Villa on Tuesday. This is the round of 16. You have Dortmund versus Lille on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid. That's going to be really good. Tuesday at 3 p.m. PSV versus Arsenal at Tuesday at 3 p.m. And then Wednesday you have Feyenoord versus Inter Milan. Benfica versus Barcelona. Barcelona's on a 5-game winning streak. Or actually, it might be a little bit more. Let me see. Barca's like on like a win-win streak. Like a big one. Let me see here. Let's see. They are on a 5-game winning streak, I believe. Let's see. They haven't lost. Yeah, they tied Getafe. That was the last time they tied. Other than that, they're on like a 10-game win streak, some shit like that. Some crazy. Yeah, they're at the top of the table. Real Madrid's third. Atletico Madrid is second. Goal differentials plus 42. I mean, they have to win the Champions. Like, They have a team this year. They're playing that way to be able to win the Champions League. That's what they are. And then Bayern faces Leverkusen on Wednesday at 3 o'clock. That's going to be a great one. PSG Liverpool on Wednesday at 3 o'clock. That's going to be a great one. So I think Dortmund should win. Real Madrid should win. I think Aston Villa should win against Club Brugge. Arsenal should win against PSV. I believe Inter Milan should beat Feyenoord. Barcelona should beat Benfica. Bayern, maybe Leverkusen beats Bayern because of how they've been playing. But Bayern is a minus 25 favorite. So I'm going to go Bayern there. And then I think Liverpool beats PSG. Even though PSG's on a 5-game winning streak themselves. But I think Liverpool beats PSG. Other than that, guys, thank you guys for being patient. I love you guys. I love all the support. I'm going to be more consistent. I promise. We're going to work on the setup and stuff like that. We're going to keep trying to improve it. I love you guys. God bless you. And I'll leave you all with the outro.
El Exec, el Exec, el Exec. El Vele, el Vele, el Vele. El fenómeno que todos quieren ser. El chamaquito que no puede